Welcome to Girling Up. Picture yourself stepping out of a sleek limousine, or SUV if that's more your style, onto a lush red carpet. There are people lining both sides of this carpet, and there is excitement in the air. The book you are listening to is the reason everyone is here, Girling Up. We are going to explore everything about being female, and the best place to start is on the inside. We'll work our way out. The body you've been given, if you were born female, is your ticket into this chapter, so you are already a VIP at this awesome event. We're going to talk about what makes a female body special, what changes to expect as you girl up, and how we keep your body strong and healthy so that you have an inside-out head start on becoming strong, smart, and spectacular. From girl to girling up. When girl babies and boy babies are born, they actually look a lot alike. Well, except for what's below the waist. And they continue looking a lot alike for a long time after that. But there comes a time anywhere between the ages of about 9 and 16 when puberty starts. What exactly is puberty? Well, puberty is the time in our lives when our bodies and brains start to change. If you're female, it's the physical and chemical process of girling up. We start to get breasts, and our hips may get wider and more womanly. Hair starts to grow in places where it never grew before. We may start to get pimples, and our emotions may start to feel a lot bigger than they ever did before. For some girls, these changes happen fast. For others, they take a lot longer. Sometimes we'll start to see changes, and then they may seem to stop. And some people, like me, are really late bloomers and may wonder if they are ever going to girl up because it's taking so long to catch up with the other girls. There is no timetable for when it's right to start seeing these changes. It's kind of a waiting game. So how does all of this happen? Do our bodies have some sort of invisible timer that starts counting down from the time we're born, and when the timer goes off, blam, we transform from a girl into a woman? Is there someone watching over us who points a giant magic finger at us when the time seems right and then we start changing? What actually happens to make our bodies change? XX. The easiest way to answer this question is with 2 X's. That's right. What actually makes us a female is 2 X's. Inside every cell in the whole body, there is something called DNA. DNA is a bunch of molecules that are packed really tightly together throughout the entire body, and DNA has all of the information that the body needs to exist. For all of us, DNA is a combination of our mom's DNA and our dad's DNA, and it has information coded in things called genes. DNA contains tens of thousands of genes, which determine physical things about us, such as eye color, height, and whether or not we can roll our tongue into a taco shape. Can you? I can. Our DNA also has genes that determine more complicated things, such as if we're the kind of person who cries at sappy movies, or if we tend to be outgoing or shy. So inside every cell, there's a compact ball of all of the information that determines pretty much everything about us. The fact that we're female is coded into our DNA. When a mom's egg cell met a dad's sperm cell and a baby started growing in her belly, the mom's and dad's DNA combined, half of his and half of hers. And it was at that very second, right when the egg and sperm met, that it was determined if each of us would be born a boy or a girl. So what's the XX business? Well, the parts of our DNA that determine our sex kind of look like an X and a Y if you look at the DNA under a microscope. The X and the Y are actually called chromosomes, which is the fancy word for the structure of DNA when it gets all smushed up so that it can fit inside of every cell. How this all breaks down is the mom's egg cell contributes an X when her egg meets the dad's sperm. A dad's sperm cell can pass on either an X or a Y. It's basically like flipping a coin, a 50% chance either way. So every time a mom's cell and a dad's cell meet, the mom gives an X to the new baby, and the dad gives either an X or a Y. If the dad gives an X chromosome, we end up with 2 X chromosomes and develop into a female. If the dad gives a Y chromosome, we end up with 1 X chromosome and 1 Y chromosome, and we develop into a male. So it's actually our dads who determine if we become boys or girls. Take a second, even in your mind right now, to thank your parents for the X chromosomes. It's awesome being a girl, I promise. You're probably wondering what all of these X's and Y's have to do with how we actually start puberty. Well, the X and Y chromosomes contain chemical messages literally on the surface of their structure that get turned on at certain points in our lives. When they get turned on, they send signals through messengers in the form of proteins and chemicals to our brains. Our brains get told, hey, we're starting puberty here, and the brain begins to release very special chemicals throughout our bodies. These chemicals are called hormones. Hormones are actually what makes us start puberty and are responsible for all of the changes that happen during the process of growing up and beyond.